Sunday, 10th April, The Gap News This Morning, podcasting live from Kuala Lumpur, I'm Ghazali Abdullah. Good morning. First the headlines. Saudi Arabia to allow 1 million Hajj pilgrims this year. Missing divers, Dutch teen Nathan Renzi Chesters confirmed dead. MH2664 passengers want transparent investigation on April 3rd incident. Ukrainians told to flee eastern region immediately. Russia's ruble stages rebound despite Western sanctions. Dead UK cult leader who held a Malaysian woman for decades. In Australian Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc beats Max Verstappen to pole after dramatic qualifying. And now the news in full. Saudi Arabia said it will permit 1 million Muslims from inside and outside the country to participate in this year's Hajj. A sharp uptick after pandemic restrictions forced 2 years of drastically pared-down pilgrimages. The Hajj Ministry has authorized 1 million pilgrims, both foreign and domestic, to perform the Hajj this year, it said in a statement. One of the 5 pillars of Islam, the Hajj must be undertaken by all Muslims with the means, at least once in their lives. Usually one of the world's largest religious gatherings, about 2.5 million people took part in 2019. But after the onset of the coronavirus pandemic in 2020, Saudi authorities allowed only 1,000 pilgrims to participate. The following year, they upped the total to 60,000 fully vaccinated citizens and residents chosen through a lottery. This year's Hajj, which will take place in July, will be limited to vaccinated pilgrims under age 65, the announcement said. Dutch diver Nathan Renzi Chesters, who went missing while diving off Pulau Tokong Sanggol, is confirmed dead, the Johor Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency said Saturday. The death of the 14-year-old teenager was confirmed by his father, Adrian Peter Chesters. The father had said that his son died as he was too weak and could not survive, the MMEA said in a statement. However, MMEA Director Nurul Hizam Zakaria said they have yet to find the victim's body, which they believe has drifted into neighboring Indonesia's waters. The MMEA called up its search and rescue operation at 1:30 p.m. Saturday, Nurul Hizam said, adding that they have reached out to their Indonesian counterparts to assist in searching for the victim's body. Earlier Saturday, fishermen rescued the elder Chesters, a British national, and French woman Alexia Moliner. They were found a day after the rescue of 35-year-old Norwegian dive instructor Christine Grodem by a maritime search team. 3 passengers who boarded Malaysia Airlines flight MH2664 last Sunday, April 3rd, are seeking the airline and the Malaysian Civil Aviation Authority to conduct a transparent investigation into the plane's emergency incident. The passengers, Abdul Rahim Awang Nong, Halima Nasoha, and Chiu Ka Wai, who lodged separate police reports on the incident on Friday, also want the report of the investigation to be made public. They could not accept the excuse given by MAS in a statement last Tuesday that flight MH2664 from Kuala Lumpur International Airport turned back due to technical issues with the aircraft and that the technical problems were compounded by bad weather en route. Brahim said the weather at the time was good and the pilot had also turned off the seatbelt sign while the stewardess was serving food when the aircraft suddenly went out of control. Halima claimed that she floated off a seat during the incident and was still traumatized by the incident, which lasted about 10 minutes. Ukraine calls on civilians in the eastern region of Luhansk to flee immediately. Its governor, Serhiy Gadai, warns that Russia is amassing forces for an offensive there. Russia is stepping up the offensive in eastern Ukraine after withdrawing from the north. It is also believed to have reorganized its military leadership in Ukraine, with General Alexander Donikov given overall charge. Western officials say the general has extensive experience of Russian operations in Syria. UK PM Boris Johnson visited Ukraine on Saturday and held a meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev. Downing Street announced several new financial and military aid packages to help Ukraine, following the surprise visit. Ukrainian officials say 10 humanitarian corridors to evacuate people from regions being besieged by Russian forces have been agreed for today. The proposed corridors include one for people to escape from the shattered port city of Mariupol. After a historic collapse in the wake of Russia's military offensive in Ukraine, the ruble has staged a spectacular bounce back, supported by strict capital controls and energy exports. But analysts say that success is in many ways artificial and does not bode well for the health of the Russian economy. The February 24th military operation triggered unprecedented Western sanctions on Moscow, sending the ruble into free fall and accelerating already high inflation. In a surprise move Friday, the central bank lowered the rate to 17%, saying risks to financial stability had ceased to increase for now. Comrade Bala, a cult leader who kept a Malaysian woman, among others, captive for decades, has died in a British prison 6 years after being convicted for rape, sexual assault, child cruelty, and false imprisonment. Aravindan Balakrishnan died yesterday at the age of 81, the BBC reported. Indian-born Aravindan, who called himself Comrade Bala, brainwashed his cult into thinking he had godlike powers. He gained infamy for keeping several women captive at a house in London. One of them was a Malaysian, Siti Aisyah Wahab, who was freed by the police in October 2013 after living under him for more than 3 decades. And now for some sports news. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc grabbed pole position from Red Bull's Max Verstappen at the end of a dramatic qualifying session at the Australian Grand Prix. The final session was interrupted by a red flag following a crash for Fernando Alonso's Alpine after an apparent hydraulic failure. Leclerc had just set the fastest time when Alonso went off, but was beaten by Verstappen when the session resumed. But Leclerc pulled out a fine lap at the end to take pole by 0.286 seconds. Red Bull's Sergio Perez took third, with McLaren's Lando Norris fourth, ahead of the Mercedes cars of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz was only 9th fastest after a difficult session. To end the bulletin, here are the headlines again. Saudi Arabia to allow 1 million Hajj pilgrims this year. Missing divers, Dutch teen Nathan Renzi Chesters confirmed dead. MH2664 passengers want transparent investigation on April 3rd incident. Ukrainians told to flee eastern region immediately. Russia's ruble stages rebound despite Western sanctions. Dead UK cult leader who held a Malaysian woman for decades. An Australian Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc beats Max Verstappen to pole after dramatic qualifying. This has been the Gap News this morning, Sunday, 10th April, with reports from Free Malaysia Today, The Vibes and the BBC World Service. The Gap News is also available on the internet news portal Melaka Hari Ini. We hope you found the bulletin informative. We certainly welcome hearing from you. If you do have the opportunity, please do write in. We would certainly love to hear from you. Podcasting live from Kuala Lumpur, I'm Ghazali Abdullah.